this is Rumor, and today I'm going to attempt the previously unattempted here at my channel and do an old school unboxing because this pretty little package arrived for me yesterday. And look at that. Beautiful, beautiful sticker. I don't know if you can tell from the art style what this might be. Whose work that is. Oh my gosh. All right. I'm not going to do this like I opened my presents at Christmas where everyone gets so impatient with me because I'll take forever. For the reveal, the Stunning Tarot. Ooh, it looks like signed. Maybe. I can't read that. But this is Yonasa Yaos's Stunning Tarot deck. I think the second edition, as you can see, it's a smaller size here. I got this edition because basically it was still available on her website, and I was too impatient to wait for a new edition to come out. But I guess this can be my way of finding out if that's something that I would be interested in or if this will suffice. So yeah, I'm just gonna walk through these. This is interesting. I'm starting with the minors first, I guess. Let's hop to the majors. Are they in order? Oh, I don't really think these are in order. So, all right, let me take a second to see what is going on here. It's the Lovers. Isn't that weird? They're not in order. Okay. Oh gosh, not at all. All right, so I'm going to quickly sort these. Okay, back in business here. I've got them all in order, so just going through them one by one. I may or may not have something to say about each of them. I am just giving them all a first look through. So the Fool, this is really lovely. I love that with the parasol. She's standing in the rain. It seems to be venturing out anyway. Well, it seems to be like reveling in it, actually. So not too worried about the consequences of staying out in it. The Magician. You obviously can see here that she's got all her resources, ingredients lined up here. It's all at her disposal to make of it what she will. High Priestess. Ooh. Think about this. Vibrant red really gives this card a different tone, but I love the smoking candles in lieu of pillars there. And just those vacant eyes. It's like not literally visually seeing with her eyes, but with their intuition. There's something all-seeing about them as well. The Empress. Ooh, she seems at one with nature. Her little snake familiar here, almost ready to do her bidding. She also has those kind of vacant eyes. But I just get this automatic sense of her just being very in tune and acting on a primal, passionate nature. Yeah. The Emperor. See, I get bummed when there's a mix like this, like you're hopping species for cards that would be paired, but it's a good representation of the Emperor too. I definitely do get a stern vibe from this, and I just think of this, what is it, a hawk? Maybe an eagle of some kind, taking flight and being able to oversee everything, taking in larger perspective and zeroing in on what needs tending, swooping down. Hierophant. So yes, this looks like, oh gosh, there's probably a name for it that I'm not thinking of, but does look like a religious item that you would find at church to reflect that religious dogma the Hierophant often embodies. The Lovers. It's pretty, just nice and simple. See a contrast between them in the colors. So you still get that sense of like a duality choice to be made. Two aspects of something. The Chariot, also showing that contrast and facing the different directions. You kind of need your focus and will to grab those reins and get steering into a direction when you might have opposing influences, desires pulling in different directions otherwise. Justice. Okay, great. With the scales, very classic imagery. And we also get that sense of wisdom with the owl, sense of objectivity and balance. The Hermit. I like how you can see the footprints left behind, just this lone figure going off to that place of solitude for some quiet introspection. That's nice. And it looks like, a natural setting in which to do so. Wheel of Fortune, beautiful. I love depictions like this. The Raven's Prophecy Wheel of Fortune is somewhat similar, showing leaves at their different stage of growth and decay through the seasons. And so then we see this here with this. I think it's a daffodil. I could be wrong. It's something else. But we see this flower growing from the initial bulb. And then it blooms. But then ultimately it's going to wilt and decay back into the ground and provide fertilization for whatever new growth is to come next. The cycle just repeats. Strength. It's neat, rather than just seeing the woman with the lion, she is the lion. It's very much capturing how that is one and the same, how that beast, that primal, maybe wild aspect that needs to be controlled is very much an inner aspect. And having the wings makes this more of a mythological creature. What is that when the lion has wings? Is that a griffin? And I don't know if that includes with the female face as well, if that's like a sphinx. I don't know things, but anyway, there's just something very like wise and strong in the stature here. And this woman just being very attuned to her primal nature, but again, looking in control of it. The Hanged Man. Gosh, I mean, to me, that looks like a hornet's nest. But I guess it could also be a cocoon of some sort. It's really large if that is what it is. So if you have this deck and you just have better eyes and understanding of the natural world than I do, maybe you know better what that is supposed to be. But for Hanged Man, I see it making more sense if it's a cocoon of some sort where there's like transformation taking place in this moment of suspension. Ah, cool. Wonderful image for death. And speaking of transformation, the snake shedding its old skin, what no longer serves, and emerging anew. Temperance. This is lovely. We've got the two angels just pouring Measuring everything out in the right balance. Keeping things in moderation. Okay. Ooh, the devil. He looks like a cheeky little fellow. Those things that do not serve us well, getting the better of us sometimes. Ugh. That spiky back. It's a powerful image. The tower. Cool. That's really strong. I mean, man, this bolt, that's just such a strong image. The star. Oh, isn't that pretty how it's reflecting in the water below? As you like work through these devil influences, these tower moments, but you just look in the distance and there's that hope. Maybe you haven't reached it yet, but it's there. And it just looks very like fertile and nourishing, an oasis to come and cleanse and heal. The moon. Oh, neat. I love that not only does it have the moon suspended in the starry sky, but looking in the mirror. I love that interpretation of it. Like seeing yourself reflected in that. There's something about like, at the risk of sounding too high priestess, but looking to that like inner compass to guide when all otherwise seems dark and full of doubt. And it's also, kind of confronting, having to face things that you may not want to see and things in yourself you may not like or know you need to work on. And so it's very shadowy in that respect too. The sun. It's interesting keeping it red, instead of just going with what would be typical and doing yellow for the sun and for a sunflower. But you see the sunflower there, and yeah, I don't know. I like it. I like it with the red. It's a little unconventional, but it still certainly conveys the point. That's very strong energy. And that's nice, seeing these two hands meeting here. I'm assuming it's two different people. So there's just sort of like a togetherness, a companionship there that lends to the joy of the sun, out of the dark, not feeling alone. Judgment. Ugh. Look at that eye. Blech. Okay, so it's like coming down from the clouds, it seems. These almost look like flower petals, but rays beaming down. So this definitely does feel like judgment from on high, from this all-seeing eye. I'm going to rise to it. Take accountability for what's been done in the past and level up from it. The world. Oh, it's a neat image of a woman curled in fetal position. The elements in each of the four corners. I like that, she looks like she's in the egg, and it looks a red egg. That makes me think of Mary Magdalene and that story of her with the red egg and using it as a metaphor. I'm going to go grab something real quick. Okay, sorry. I just ran because every month I pull a card from the Divine Feminine Oracle, and I got so excited that this last pull was Mary Magdalene, and because I got the deck after reading the deck creator's book about her, and so obviously you see here she's got the red egg, and she was using the egg to teach about like resurrection, and her snarky audience was saying, oh, there was no more possibility for someone to rise from the dead than for the egg to turn red. And then story goes that the egg turned red in that moment. So anyways, that's just where my free association of thought went here. kind of hearkening a judgment sense of like rising, being born again, rebirth. And of course, that's what begins the new cycle as we reach completion here. Now we're going to start another cycle after the world. So, okay, so now back to the wands. Ace of Wands, very nice. And I believe the wands suit is supposed to be like a witch theme. So you see woman in a dress here. There's a path of candles. She's got her walking staff. And that would be our wand here. She's got 2 in hand. So this is a good reflection of the duality. And she's sitting on a tree stump. So it seems she's still perhaps working through her ritual, setting intention, not yet going out to achieve it, or enact a spell maybe to reinforce it, just getting clear on what it is she wants. 3 of Wands. This gives me a very 3 of Cups vibe here with the 3 figures dancing around, seemingly in celebration, but again, they may be doing some sort of ritual beneath the moon and almost carrying out maybe the plans laid here, the setting of the intention, and then now going through the motions of the ritual to kick off, bringing that goal about. 4 of Wands. Oh, look at this it's like a little horned baby suckling at her teeth, and she has horns too. Okay, so the kid is probably hers. It seems like they share genetics. But, ooh, wow. Okay. Wow, that gives like a sense of domesticity. I mean, I always think of like the 4 of Wands as like that coming home stage. You've embarked on your journey, and then this is a time of first stage of achievement where you can come to rest and celebrate that. And obviously we see it often in the context of like what could be a wedding. It can represent marriage, but this is interesting where it's this more maternal sense here, but she's nourishing her child, and I don't know what she's supposed to be really, just some sort of, I don't know, nature being, but sort of roosting in a stable home environment. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll think on that one more. 5 of Wands. So this looks cool. Speaking of ritual, sitting right at the center of the pentagram, fitting for the 5 points. And it's interesting because you usually see with 5 of Wands that sense of kind of like confusion and conflict. You usually see a group of people, at least traditionally, battling each other with their wands. And here we just have this lone figure, eyes closed in deep concentration. So maybe this is reflective of if there is that like distraction and competition around, or things competing for attention, like this is really trying to just home in and find that focus to bring about what it is you're seeking, and tuning that out. So it's very meditative. It's a neat way to look at it. 6 of Wands. Well, she looks pretty pleased with herself, doesn't she? There is a huge column of smoke here. Perhaps she has fanned the flames of her fire and enacted her spell and bringing about what she has sought and achieved it. And yeah, she got it. Looks like she got it to work. I don't know. That's how I'm seeing it. Seven of Wands. Oh, goat. It's cool, these black rays coming out. I love that fine sliver, the waxing crescent. And then if you look at these clouds, there are female figures within it. So yeah, this is really interesting. I have to think about this one a bit more. It's not as with other cards here. It's not the seven as I typically see it or think of it, where you're just kind of having to hold your ground. I don't really see these women here as being a threat. And are we supposed to be identifying with the goat in this case, or are we supposed to be holding our ground against it? I mean, this is just with traditional iconography, it's making the ritual seem a bit more satanic. So I don't know. It could be warning of a potential dark side to intention setting, like what's really underlying the motivations. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to cast this in a positive or negative light. I guess I'm just personally not, I'm not sure what to think about it. So I'll stop rambling on it and just, speculate it at another time. Maybe look up and see what others have had to say about it. Okay, Eight of Wands seems like I've seen this image before where you have like the witch on her broom. So it's a very stereotypical witchy image there, but I do like that it does at least convey traditionally how I see the Eight of Wands as far as RWS meaning goes. It's clear enough for me to see that translated there. Nine of Wands. Ooh. It looks like the cauldron down here. And I don't know, there seems to be like some kind of smoke coming out, but she's like in it. She's like in a trance or something here. And there's just something very powerful that's been unleashed by this ritual that she's doing. And it's probably taking a lot out of her. It seems like something that requires a lot of power. And so that could threaten to deplete her, but she's standing strong. So for Nine of Wands, that's how I would kind of see that. She might need a solid nap after this, but yeah, she's still hanging in. Kitty! 10 of Wands. Aww. Well, I mean, we see the 10 branches here. Kitty doesn't look to be overburdened, though. So I don't really get that RWS sense from this, but it does, I mean, in the context of these witches and wands being a way to wield power, this doesn't necessarily have to be interpreted in like a sense of being overburdened and weighed down. Like this is kind of the cat that got the cream, accumulating all of this power and opportunity there. Looks quite pleased with itself. So it is the culmination of the suit. And I guess if this is too much for the witch to hold, she can have her little familiar strap it onto its back. Make the cat carry it. This is the intellectual insight that you come here for. I know it. Okay, so the Page of Wands. This gives me like evil queen transformed into the old woman in Snow White vibes. Carrying her basket and a very tall, branchy walking stick there, but just seems to be perhaps first venturing out into the forest. And then we have a Warrior of Wands in place of our knight. And yes, she looks active and fierce indeed. Queen of Wands. Oof, she is wearing nothing but her hooded robe here. Yeah, she looks, gosh, just by the way she is sitting, this is how I, always see, or at least like to see a Queen of Wands, where she is just so at ease with herself and so comfortable with her body and, has like a charismatic, maybe even sexual appeal, and just very creative, very much master of her own domain here. And just, yeah, it's like has a fierceness and maybe even a sexiness. And yeah, that's how I see a queen. King of Wands. Oh gosh, we're back to horned, satanic looking creatures, but all right. Oh, I see the pentagram upside down. Well, I mean, that's a powerful force, that's for certain, depending which way you go in that fork in the road, but very commanding, dynamic presence, it seems. Okay, let's go into the cups. Ace of Cups. Now, if I remember correctly here, the cups, I think, are drawing from like the tales of the Arabian Nights, and I'm not well versed in that, but I'll see what I can do here. So anyways, lovely, holding the cup, beaming its rays out. You just see this, it just gives it a very sense of like pure essence. And with the pink, with the softer color, feel kind of more in a softer emotional realm. The two, oh, that's lovely. Fittingly have our two cups, but then also our two people here joining hands. So that sense of companionship, collaboration. Three of Cups. Okay. So it's even less Three of Cupsy to me than the Three of Wands was, but I mean, we do have our three figures here. So I always see this as the card of like finding your support team, the people who like get you. And in the context of the stories, I'm just realizing these perhaps could be portraying certain characters that I'm just not familiar with. I don't know. But I just love the architecture here, seeing the moon. Four of Cups. So yeah, we've got like a waning crescent here, kind of powering down. And so this person here just looks like, yeah, I can't be bothered. I'm taking a nap. Almost Four of Swordsy there, but just also, emotionally, just sometimes you just need to take a time out and get comfy, refuel. You see the one cup that's tipped over, so, maybe she's been taking a lie-in for too long and eventually will need to, or I don't know if it's a she necessarily, but rouse themselves to get up and go. But for now, it does just seem like I said, just kind of that powering down, releasing, regrouping type of energy. Five of Cups. I don't know if this is supposed to be Aladdin, but I don't know why. It just makes me think of him. But looking a little somber. So Five of Cups, if there has been some sense of loss or regret. Yeah, just maybe kind of sitting with that. But then I just kind of imagine in a few moments he's going to be like pushing off of this wall and venturing out of this fortified city, and kind of, if he can't recover what's been lost, just kind of finding himself again and venturing out and through new adventures. Grow and find fulfillment. He's just got to take a moment before he can, get there and get the motivation to do it. That's where my mind goes anyway when I look at that. Six of Cups. Oh, that's pretty. I mean, you often see this in the context. Again, I always think in terms of RWS. That's my default, but like childhood nostalgia and everything. And I don't get that from this necessarily, but this is very pretty with this flower in the cup. It's just, there's and just with the coloration of it, there's just like a sweetness. There's like a nurturing sense of like love and care here. It seems like this is what this person could use a dose of. Whether it's a memory of a happier time or it's just that sense of, reharmonizing in our emotional landscape. 7 of Cups. I love peacocks. They're so pretty. And I guess, peacocks, they probably symbolize a lot of things, but I see them very much as like tied to prosperity and with their very fancy feathers. There's kind of that showiness. They've got that dazzle. So just like that beauty and adornment. So I don't know, I guess with 7 of Cups, I'm trying to wedge it into 7 of Cups as I understand it, where you traditionally see like all those options before you, and that can be both a good and bad thing if you're kind of like, I can see it in the shadow as being like very pie in the sky, like maybe you're a bit delusional and your head is in the clouds and you're not really like making a reality of it down on earth. But I also can see it as like an abundance of opportunity and just really like indulging your whimsies. So there's something about that abundant sense that I can get from a peacock. And if these are male and female, I believe only the male would be the peacock, right? And then what's the female? Is she like a peahen or something like that? I forget, but I think generally they're called peafowl. I don't know. Am I making this up? I just feel like I heard that before. And I'm going on that tangent because I'm struggling with my interpretation of this. But okay, I guess I'm just seeing like abundance and and luxury, and there is just such a whimsy to seeing the peacock. My gosh, they're just like the runway models of the bird world. It's so I don't know, there's just something kind of flashy and fancy about that. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll do my research on peafowl. 8 of Cups. So this is kind of more in keeping with what you would see with someone who's sitting very contentedly, seems to have all the comforts and luxuries they seek, just very contented in that moment. Woo-wah. The 9. Okay, so this one kind of phoned in, yeah? Oh, wait. Oh, so 8 of Cups. I'm sorry. I was thinking of this more in terms of the 9. So I see this. Because again, forcing my traditional interpretations on. So clearly this is a deck I just am going to need to learn to read more intuitively. And that's good. That's good for me to do. I want to do that. And I do that. Even with the traditional RWS, there's still something I'll take from the images to kind of go in my own direction if it feels right, if my intuition kind of pulls me that way. So that's probably how I'll use this deck. But yeah, I was seeing this as more of the 9, like that wish card and culmination. This person's very, they're seated, so they're more sedentary than that sense of moving on, like letting go of something that no longer serves and leaving it. But maybe they're at the cusp of that though, where, they've had their fill of all of these and will realize it's not enough. But then again, numerologically with the 8, this is a very like stable visual to coincide with that. And that does give me more of a 9 of Cups feeling. If you've reached like that first stable achievement of the 4, and this is like your next one in the 8, where you can kind of kick back and enjoy the fruits of your efforts. But I don't know. So then the 9 really doesn't give anything. So I guess you just read this very pip-like, and you can just look at it numerologically. And as a 9, it would really be a culmination or just verging on it at least, depending on whether you see if like the 9 is that completion and the 10 is kind of pushing more into excess. I've heard them interpreted like that before too. So with the 10 here, ooh, so this makes me think of, the snake charmers playing the flute or a pipe of some sort and getting these two entranced. And I'm not sure how to look at that as a 10 and in the realm of emotion. I can't tell if this is like shed snake skin here. But there is sort of like a unification that happens. I mean, if the Cobras are getting, hypnotized by the music, but that unseen flutist here who would be playing the music that they're then in harmony with. And so I guess there's that sense of unifying through the music and finding a rhythm with each other. But there is no doubt more meaning tied to this to get this point across than I'm aware of. So I've gotta try to find a guidebook. I'm assuming there's something available online or like as a PDF. Page of Cups. Just pretty. I love all the detailing in the pattern, the beading and everything. Kind of, I don't know, be like an enchantress or someone young who's being courted, prepared to be married off. Warrior of Cups. Now this looks like Aladdin on his flying carpet, maybe. I don't know if that's what it's supposed to be, but I can see that, and that would give it a sense of motion. Queen of Cups. Yeah, this is my signifier, so I always like to see what the queen looks like, and she looks pretty confident and relaxed, kicking her feet up. She's got a sword. So that's a more aggressive Queen of Cups than you can see. Like, I feel like she's going to be akin to Queen of Swords, where she will tell it like it is, but will also bring in the nurture. Not that she'll sugarcoat, but she'll deliver it with sensitivity and in a way that shows she does have your best interests in mind. And she'll be there to comfort you if following her advice is something difficult to do. King of Cups. Ooh. I mean, he looks kind of stern to me. And yet, I can somehow also see, if you play it right with this guy, you kind of get his defenses down. I can also see him throwing his head back with a big belly laugh too. So I do think he's got that caring quality in him, but like the queen, maybe not mince words with you, but we'll do it sensitively enough. Ace of Swords. Okay, so are the swords? I want to say these are mermaids. So that's cool. The beam of light coming out of the sword, it all being white, it just looks like it's glowing. The contrast with the red, that's really cool. You just really feel like the power of that slicing through. Very sharp thought. Very inspired. Here we've got Two of Swords. Mermaid seeming to be thinking. She's got a decision to make. So that looks like a expression of deliberation on which way to go on that. Three of Swords. This is nice to see an image that's not a heart being stabbed through by these swords. Very meditative looking, submerged in the water. She just looks like she's been through something, and this is healing, and she's breathing through it and finding that calm, clearer, rebalanced frame of mind. But as I've said about someone before, she needs a minute. It's not going to be right now. She's just been through it, and she's breathing through it now, and we'll be able to emerge from this with something learned from whatever pain and hardship may have come before. It's really neat, by the way, like the red, when you're thinking mermaids and water, you would just assume you'd default to like blues and greens. And so to see it red is really interesting. And also to have this like so watery for the swords, I kind of like it. I mean, I don't know what the rationale behind that is, but I do feel like my thoughts very much in cahoots with my emotions. And so that's where, often with the depictions of the Three of Swords can struggle with it. I mean, a lot of folks do across the board just because of the connotation of like heartbreak, which seems like that would be more in the realm of emotion. But I have to say, like, I've always understood it from the RWS depiction, because my thoughts do get the better of me. And sometimes it does take like, they can pierce through my heart, and my anxieties can get me all riled up emotionally. And it's clearing my mind and getting more of a focus and kind of reining in those anxieties and putting those fears at rest that can help me find my calm again. And here we see depiction of calm with our Four of Swords. She just seems to be floating in the water, taking a time out. Not that she's not necessarily still thinking through the matters at hand, but able to do it in a calmer, more relaxed way, where you're not trying to solve all the problems of the world in this moment, but just sort of like letting go and maybe just giving your mind a break. And again, that like will directly carry over into your emotional realm. It'll just get you feeling calmer, maybe a bit more contented. And it's just one of those things, you just feel it all through your body too. So, I mean, the mind, it affects everything. So it's just neat, this bringing it to that kind of watery depths. So Five of Swords. Okay, let's get a look at her expression here. I don't know. She kind of looks like maybe she's been, I don't want to say up to no good, but that's kind of a self-serving face to me. So I can often see Five of Swords as like that hollow victory, like you've won something, but at what cost? And so whether she took this sword from someone or defeated them in some way, she has kind of like a look of self-interest on her face. Six of Swords, so we get something more harmonious with the six. And again, if she could have been through it, and this is interesting, she's pregnant, but she looks like she's finding, if she had any hardship, I mean, she seems like she's in a good place now. She seems to be on more solid footing, level sand, with something to look forward to in the future. So she just, seems to be in a good place. Seven of Swords. She looks like she's sleeping, trying to guard the swords, though, but this one is not covered, so it would make it easy for someone else to come and snatch that one. Maybe it's this chick. I see her having that in her to do that. So rather than seeing the figure in the card sneaking off with the swords, as we usually do, I feel like maybe this is the person who is like the victim of some kind of betrayal. And she let her guard down, had trust that she should be able to do this. Maybe not enough trust if she still feels like she needs to be covering these, but nonetheless felt secure enough to nod off. And I don't know. That's how I'm seeing it. I think there's a completely different like array of storylines you could run with there. 8 of Swords. Yeah, she doesn't look pleased. I don't think she's happy with how things are going. And just that posture, arms kind of crossed and hunched over. I mean, she looks like she's throwing a snit to me. And I think that maybe with just an adjustment of attitude, this could be better for her. So again, wedging in my interpretation of 8 of Swords, where we kind of dwell in these cages of our own making, and it's just all about shifting our mindset. You know, she can clear these swords away and get back in the water. She just looks kind of like dehydrated, and like she just needs that replenishment. And she thinks these are blocking her way, but they're really not. It's like just grab them and toss them on the shore and go dive in. She absolutely can do that. The 9 of Swords. Oh, yeah, that's very traditional 9 of Swords to me. That fear and despair. Whether the source of it is real or not. Again, sometimes our thoughts can get the best of us. And, oh, yes, traditional 10 of Swords. It's like she's not stabbed in the back. It's right in the front. Oof, and even in her fishtail. Brutal. Oh, yikes. But I would like to think that as a supernatural creature, maybe she has supernatural healing abilities. So if she can just yank these out or get some help to get these yanked out, she'll heal over. The salt could help for those wounds, the salt in the water. So there's a way out of it. This is the rock bottom. But the bright side is that it's only up from there. At least that's how I need to believe it works for the 10. Okay, Page of Swords. Page of Swords is headless. I think this is a statue. I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at. I mean, it's like almost like the shape of a headstone, but I don't know that it's that necessarily. But it's interesting. Like for Page of Swords, where thought is concerned, there's actually not any head present. So maybe that alludes to a lesser sense of rationalization, like having ideas and inspiration, but just not being like overly logical about it. Maybe a little bit head in the clouds. I'm not sure. I like I said, I can't really tell. I was trying to see what else they were holding. It looks like maybe that's the hilt of the sword. So maybe they've just drawn the sword out and they're stashing the hilt away. And yeah, I don't know. Warrior of Swords. Cool. She looks fierce. She looks awesome. And there's those seemingly unseeing eyes, but I feel like they see quite clearly. And she's going to take action on those convictions. Queen of Swords. Ooh, how neat to see a mermaid Queen of Swords. Again, you would think, I mean, here my Queen of Cups was holding a sword, and now my Queen of Swords is in the water. It's neat, but she does have her sword too. She's got it in the hilt, and whether she is sheathing it or pulling it out, I think, is up to interpretation and maybe will vary based on the context of a reading. But she also has those like glowing eyes, like she sees with a sharp clarity. That's just really cool. But her being in the water, I mean, it just shows that like she's not so cold and unfeeling. There is a receptivity to her. There is an emotional component to her, but maybe she's been burned by life experience and those emotions before, and so she's just better at cutting through them to see things as they are. She's learned through experience. King of Swords. Oh, this is cute. Scuba diver. You can see his line from above, and he's got one of those old school helmets on. So he does not appear to be an aquatic creature himself. This is a human, but had the smarts and means of figuring out how to be able to stay underwater and exist there. And there's just something very like scientific and logical about that. I bet he was able to create this suit for himself and think through what he would need to be able to breathe and remain safe down there. And yeah, it's just interesting. There's something too about being submerged and having this kind of helmet on. That really would like drown out other distraction. That would be a very like submersive state of being and a very focused, because you can really only look through this little I hope that that's clear, that he can see through that. But, it would almost give you sort of like a tunnel vision, which, I mean, I wouldn't see a King of Swords as being tunnel visioned. I mean, I think that they're able to see things from all sides, but I just feel like this just that much more encloses the perspective so that it's like tuning out all these other factors that could distract. So not a lack of awareness of them. He just has to turn his head around to see what it is, but at any given time able to sort of like block that out and then just tend to the matter at hand. And yeah. Am I trying too hard with these? I'm gonna take a coffee break. Okay. Had to wet my whistle. Ace of Coins. So this suit is Egyptian mythology. Cool. I love the yellow used for this suit. I mean, it just makes me think of like gold coins, or just gold in general. So 2 of coins, very like hieroglyphic stance here. There is a sense of balance there. 3. I'm sure there's an element of the mythology here that could be lending more insight into this, but otherwise could just see it as, at least pippish with the 3 coins and that sense of growth. 4 of coins. Yeah, these are feeling just a little more pippish to me, but again, if there's something I'm missing here, is this Horus? So I don't know. The 4 of coins, I mean, I just see as like holding on to your resources, and that's not necessarily in a greedy sense. 5. Wow, I'm getting a Medusa vibe here, and that would be Greek, not Egyptian, but this is interesting. I don't see any coins in here. I always read into the 5 that sense of like lack, being impoverished somehow, and I don't know, like would that, I don't know if this is supposed to be Medusa. Is there an Egyptian equivalent of her? This is where my lack of expertise is not helpful at all, although I do know a lot of mythologies. I guess I just don't know Egyptian mythology as well as Greek and Roman, but I'm thinking like in a Medusa sense, which is just how I'm automatically going to see this. There is that lonely quality to it that you turn to stone looking at her. And so that would make for a isolated existence, I guess. But again, there may be something in the Egyptian mythology going on here that lends more insight into that is just escaping me at the moment. 6 of coins. Okay, so this just looks more like not the actual person, but perhaps the like sarcophagus that someone would be entombed in. Usually see inflow, outflow. You see like a charitability and a generosity in the 6 of coins traditionally. And you can also be on the receiving end. I'm thinking of like Egyptian burials where the pharaohs would be buried with their possessions, which would almost make me think more of 4 of coins if you wanted to take that like greedy sense of like, I'm taking it with me. I would get that more from this, but gosh, I don't know exactly how it worked. Like, would there be any of the wealth like left to like distribute also after someone's passing? Like they took some of it, but then left the rest, at least through inheritance for the successor. Yeah, I don't really know, but I mean, just looking at it pippishly, I can still derive meaning from it. Again, I'm loving the gold feeling here. Oh, beautiful. This looks like Cleopatra to me. And was I being stupid before? Is this Isis? I really need to learn my mythologies. 7 of coins here. Okay. I see Cleopatra. She's got this lovely feather in her headband. I, again, traditionally look at 7s as being sort of just patience, waiting, like you've sowed your seeds and now you just kind of have to wait to see what the outcome is going to be before you can reap the harvest. So I don't know, is there something in Cleopatra's story that would relate to that? Like kind of a biding of time? I don't know. I'm feeling really stupid now. 8 of coins. Oh, this is a 2-headed snake. That's really neat. The sense of like continuing to work and hone your craft and perfecting it. I don't I don't get that from this, but again, I can still read it Pip style. And I was trying to think, like, it's not that Ouroboros eating its own tail. Like, this is a different thing entirely, I would think, with the 2 heads there. So if that is a symbol that carries some meaning, if I'm missing it and you're screaming at your screen right now trying to inform me, I'm so sorry. But it's cool. I mean, even if I'm just honestly looking at these pippishly, there's value in that. They're still really pretty to look at. 9 Pentacles. Oh, I'm so annoyed. I'm forgetting the name. I know this one. Ah, I always forget the name. But isn't this like the god who would weigh like the heart and the feather on the scales? And then we've got the scarab beetle here. So I'm seeing this as relating to like the afterlife, like what you've done and earned, like you're reaping the rewards of that now, like if you've proven yourself worthy. So rather than seeing the woman in her garden and luxuriating in that, I see that being more so in the afterlife, after like a good afterlife well earned. I honestly think a big reason why I got this deck was just for this card alone. um, I have seen all the images on the cards before. I honestly have never given them a great deal of individual thought, though, until now. So some of them, it does feel like I'm looking at them for the first time. But this one, I definitely remember. I just think this is so adorable. And I think it was different maybe in the first edition. And I don't know about subsequent ones. But the 10 of coins here, that sense of like legacy, where you've got like this little kitty. Like I see this as like, this could be a cat in present day, and this is being honored in ancient times and having that divine worship and grace. And now we get a little house kitty inheriting the glory and splendor of all that as they let us humans serve them and may still treat us with disdain, even if we cater to their every wish. I don't own a cat, but I imagine that's what the experience would be like. And I love it. I've said it before. I love cats. I identify with them. So the page of coins. Ooh, I don't know if I know this figure. This is kind of like the head of, I don't know if it's like a crane. Okay, so I am super annoyed right now because I had a timer that went off on my phone for something unrelated to this. I swished it away on the screen, not realizing that it actually stopped the video. And so I continued talking through the rest of this and did my whole closing, and only to realize that it wasn't recording. So all right, so I am just picking up where I apparently left off. So I was just left questioning if this was some sort of specific Egyptian figure, like if there's a name associated with this and then a corresponding mythology that would give insight into how it would be the page. But with my lack of knowledge on that, I am at least seeing this stylus in the hand that gives it to me a sort of a studious apprentice type quality, someone that's studying, writing, taking notes. And so, neat. And this one, my first thought on seeing this is baseball. I think this guy has just knocked this ball out of the park. I don't know about you. So, I'm guessing the Egyptians didn't have a type of sport similar to baseball, and perhaps this is a weapon or a tool of some kind. Probably, but I mean, I don't know. I'm seeing it as baseball, and I think it fits for the coins because if this guy could go pro, there's money in that. Okay, so the Queen of Coins. I love her. This is much more sensuous than we usually see a Queen of Coins or Pentacles, right? She just looks like rich bitch. She is owning it. She is wealthy and she loves it. She's living the lavish life. And it looks like she's willing to share some of that wealth with you. But I don't know, from her whole countenance, I get this sense like you've got to do something for her if you want that. She's going to make you earn it. So this is a really different way for me to look at Queen of Coins, but I like it. I'm digging her vibe. King of Coins then is hearkening back to the sarcophagus that I was talking about before. And so I see this where you're keeping that wealth. You're buried with all that you have. And so this is a wealthy man in life, and he thinks that's going to make him wealthy in the afterlife too. So he's holding on to that wealth and resources forever. And I don't know if that makes him greedy or if there is, again, something left behind for his legacy, and maybe it's for her to dole out. To whoever is worthy, I do not know. So there are my very non-intellectual thoughts on the Stunning Tarot 2nd edition by Yonasa Yaos. I like it. Obviously, I do not know what all of the references are throughout this deck, but I don't feel like it precluded me from understanding for the most part. I feel like I could just do a reading right now and still get the gist of what the card is, and at the very least fall back on my default interpretations. But I feel like there's a lot of really cool imagery to work with here. So even if you're not getting the illusions, there's still a lot to draw from it intuitively, and it also excites me to want to learn more. So I think I can just use it out of the box now, but I'm curious, and I would like to learn more about these things. And there were those few cards that did kind of escape me as to how they were reflecting, a number or element of the suit. And so that will warrant some further exploration. But, I didn't do this before before my video cut out, or when I thought it was still rolling, and in fact it was not. Now I will finally shuffle, doing my weird little corner shuffling that I never see anyone else do too. But do I know any other corner shufflers out there? Are you out there? Let me know. But yeah, this card stock's okay. It feels very like papery, very cardboardy. It's not awful though. It riffle shuffled just fine. It's overhanding just fine. And I think for the small size of it, it's okay. I would really love it if it were a linen. There is something about this size of card that just harkens linen playing card for me. So, but whatever. The description didn't say it was going to be linen, so I had no reason to expect that, and I didn't. But yeah, how about I do a quick reading for the collective here then. I'll just do a really simple 3-card. Whoa! All right, the Hermit jumped out at me. So I'll set that one aside in case that's going to give us any insight. But here. It's going to do a simple 3-card energy obstacle advice, like Lisa Pepez will often do at her channel. I'll hold the cards up so you're not getting that glare too badly. But so for all of us, the general energy surrounding us at the moment that may or may not have anything to do with this Hermit that jumped out. Bada, swing bada. It's my baseball player, warrior of coins. That was supposed to be a crowd cheering. Did you ever do that as a kid? Okay. So this is the energy. Interesting. So I don't know if I can drop the baseball metaphor here, but as I continue to think of it that way, I'm thinking of like how diligently you have to practice at your sport. You might have some natural talent, but you can't just go out and do it. And so it's something you have to work at. So, the Knight of Coins, Pentacles traditionally is that very like steadfast, nose to the grindstone, kind of slow and steady wins the race sort of energy to me, where you may have aspirations and you're willing to put the work in to achieve them and accept that it's not going to be immediate gratification. It's something that you have to work at, and you have to have the patience with that and not expect things to happen at a super fast rate. And maybe you yourself work at that slower and steadier pace. So it seems like the energy around our situation is this sense of just really like having your eye on the prize that you're going after, and maybe we're in a state of like considering what the work is that we need to put into it, but it's time to, like, maybe we've thought about it, we've been procrastinating from it, and now it's like go time. We're ready to start making active effort towards that goal. Not sure how that would translate for you in your particular circumstances. But though the obstacle to this, and it even looks like opposing the way she's looking back at him, like she's blocking the way here, and we've got the Seven of Pentacles. So again, as I've said before, I mean, there could be something with some sort of story here, if this is Cleopatra, that would relate and bring out additional insight, but on the Seven of Coins, but I'm just looking at it sort of pippishly at the moment as that need to be patient. You're not getting rewards for your efforts right away, and that might be frustrating, and that might deter some of us from pursuing our goal then. If it's going to be too frustrating to not get to see the outcome of it right away. But it does seem like if we can just, oh, I hate this glare. I'm sorry. I just want to be able to lay them down so I can talk with my hands, man. But anyway, if we're just willing to make our slow and steady progress and just be able to wait things out and have that patience to kind of even sit and just sort of reassess too, if like the way that we're approaching it is the right one, we might be facing sort of a crossroads like that too, and whether the efforts you've already been putting into it have been the right ones, or if you need to kind of start from scratch, go back to the drawing board and begin again in a different way. But I think that this isn't necessarily an insurmountable obstacle. I think it is just, I don't think it's like a big energy standing in our way. It's just, if we can be willing to put in the work now and knowing that it just might take a while to see what the results of our efforts will be, then we could be okay. But let's see, we've got our advice here for this. Oh, I didn't really shuffle well enough. I don't think that I got all coins here. Sorry. But you saw me shuffle lots and lots, right? But okay, this is all very like earthy. This could be financial for you. This could be work related for you, since this suit is so ever present here. So this really may relate for all of us regarding our more professional efforts or even just other pursuits. Hobbies and the like, passion projects, what have you. But the Three of Coins here being our advice, I think, because I always see this three as that growth, like you've got to start somewhere. We're not going to be the master of what we're doing and have that end accomplishment if we don't start. And sometimes we can't go it alone, and we might need to seek someone else's expertise. We might need to be willing to be the student and accept that there's more to be learned. Like the warrior is not the culmination of his suit. He's still a work in progress. He's more experienced than the page, but he's not the king or the queen yet. And so being able to be guided in your role in some way, if there is some sort of mentor, and obviously my mind is defaulting to traditional RWS imagery for this, so I'm sorry. I think I'm going to end up doing that with some of these cards, especially if I'm not quite clear on how this image might be conveying that. But anyways, I mean, this is Isis, and we're seeing some sort of like divinity here. Like this is some sort of guidance. So I can tie it in that way. How about that? looking to guidance and trying to build on others' expertise, and just appreciating the initial outcomes that we can see through our efforts. As we see ourselves steadily making progress, then all in due time, if you stay with it, you'll get there. It might be hard to envision it, and we always want things now. But I think generally what I'm getting here is that we've got our eye on a goal. We just need to start making strides towards working on it. So see whose expertise we can draw on, who can guide us through this, and just being patient if we're not seeing the results right away, and just having faith that they will come. And the Hermit had flown out before, and maybe this encourages us to look within to find that inner strength and find that clarity of what it is that we are looking for. And if it's worth pursuing, do we have the right motivations underlying it? And so what do we need to stir up within ourselves to have the confidence and the faith that we're going to be able to see our goal out through to the end? I don't know. You might just have to, if you've got something in process, maybe it is just taking that moment of having to kind of like step away and do that reassessment that I spoke of earlier, and just see, like, is this a worthy pursuit? Are you pursuing it in the right way? It's just an added factor to consider there. Again, this was just a flyer that I decided to draw into it. So there we have it, glare and all. The Stunning Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. If you have this deck or another edition of this deck, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And if you have insights to offer where mine completely and utterly failed, please comment below and educate me. I would love it. Love, love, love it to hear it. And it'll just help me to bond with this deck even better and not miss out on some of the pearls of wisdom that it has to offer. So throw your pearls of wisdom at me too. Thank you, everyone. See you next time. Bye.